Giuliani's directly implicates Trump in the pressure campaign against Ukraine, claiming, quote, President Trump knew exactly what was going on.
This as new tensions emerge. The newly released audio behind that moment on the debate stage, what Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders said during the handshake that didn't happen.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
How Senator Sanders is now responding.
Winter weather alert. The major coast-to-coast storm on the move right now. Slamming the west with heavy rain and snow. Now the Midwest and Northeast bracing. Airlines already offering waivers. The new timing and track.
Kidnapping rescue. The 11-year-old snatched on her way home from school, and the alert drivers who spotted the car hours later, helping police save her.
And the 28-year-old NFL star shocking fans, now the latest in a string of young athletes to leave the game. Why he's hanging up his cleats.
And the Prince goes public. Prince Harry appearing for the first time since that bombshell announcement that he and Meghan are stepping back from their royal duties. His new message this morning.
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
And we do say Good Morning America. It is a very busy Thursday morning. Take a live look at the Capitol. An historic day and the impeachment showdown about to begin.
President Trump is about to become the third president in American history to stand trial on articles of impeachment.
And it all begins today. Here's exactly what's going to happen. At 12 Eastern, the House prosecution team will present the charges against President Trump to the Senate. They'll actually read them out loud. Then at 2 p.m., Chief Justice John Roberts will arrive in the Senate chamber to assume his constitutional role as presiding officer. He's going to be sworn in by the President of the Senate. Then he will swear in the 100 senators. They're going to take a new oath to do impartial justice. Then the Senate will formally notify the White House of the trial and call upon the President to answer the articles of impeachment and to send his counsel to make the case. Our team is covering every angle of the story from the White House to Capitol Hill, where senior congressional correspondent Mary Bruce starts us off. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Today we will see the beginning of the next historic chapter of this impeachment. The full Senate will be sworn in as Donald Trump becomes just the third American president to face a trial in the Senate. With a stroke of the Speaker's pen and an historic march across the Capitol.
The House has passed H.Res. 798, a resolution appointing and authorizing managers for the impeachment trial of Donald John Trump, President of the United States.
This morning, the articles of impeachment are now in the hands of the Senate.
President Trump put his own personal interests above the national interests, above our national security, and if not stopped, he will do it again. For that reason, he was impeached. And for that reason, the House managers will take the case to the Senate and to the American people.
Chairman Adam Schiff is leading the team of lawmakers that will prosecute the case. Later today on the Senate floor, he will outline the charges that the president abused his power and obstructed Congress by pressuring Ukraine to investigate his rivals. Then the Chief Justice, John Roberts, will be sworn in to preside, and he will administer the oath to the full Senate. During the trial, all 100 members will have to sit silently like jurors and weigh the evidence.
This is the only body that can consider all factors presented by the House, decide what has or has not been proven, and choose what outcome best serves the nation.
The Senate is on trial. We will see whether they conduct a fair trial and allow the witnesses or conduct a cover-up.
Now, the president's team thinks it is unlikely that this trial lasts more than 2 weeks, but it's not really up to the White House. And even a handful of key Republicans say they are interested in hearing from additional witnesses. And if they can force the Republican leader's hand by getting enough support to call for new testimony and additional evidence, well, then we could see a much longer trial here, George.
Yeah, that is the biggest unknown right now. Okay, Mary Bruce, thanks very much.
And George, as this all unfolds on Capitol Hill, a former associate of Rudy Giuliani facing federal charges is making explosive new allegations overnight, directly tying President Trump, Vice President Pence, and Attorney General Barr to the pressure campaign against Ukraine, the issue at the center of President Trump's impeachment. Terry Moran has those details for us. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Robin. Lev Parnas, remember that name. He is now taking center stage in this impeachment. He's a U.S. citizen born in Ukraine, and he was Rudy Giuliani's right-hand man in the campaign to pressure Ukraine to investigate the Bidens. Parnas is now under indictment on criminal campaign finance charges in New York, but he is talking, and boy, does he have a story to tell.
Overnight, in a blockbuster interview, Lev Parnas directly implicates President Trump in the alleged Ukraine pressure campaign.
President Trump knew exactly what was going on. He was aware of all of my movements. I wouldn't do anything without the consent of Rudy Giuliani or the president.
And Parnas, who is an associate of Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, says rooting out corruption was never their mission.
It was all about Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. It was never about corruption.
Parnas's claims are mostly uncorroborated, but he has handed over documents to Congress, including a handwritten note. It reads, quote, "Get Zelensky to announce that the Biden case will be investigated."
That's Mr. Giuliani tasking you.
That was always the main objective, correct.
Parnas also says it wasn't just U.S. military aid on the line in exchange for an investigation of the Bidens.
It wasn't just military aid, it was all aid. Basically, the relationships would be sour, that we would stop giving him any kind of aid.
And he says that the U.S. Attorney General was aware of what was happening.
Attorney General Barr was basically on the team.
A spokesperson from the Department of Justice calls that 100% false. Parnas also accuses Vice President Mike Pence of being heavily involved, saying Pence canceled his trip to the Ukrainian president's inauguration because they hadn't agreed to announce the investigation of the Bidens.
When Pence cancels, they get word that Pence is not coming. So now they realize that what I was telling is true.
And Parnas insists that former National Security Advisor John Bolton is a key witness.
100%. He knows what happened there.
Last night, we contacted Rudy Giuliani to ask him about Lev Parnas. His comment was, if he had any comment, he said, quote, "None. He's a very sad situation," unquote. Now the question is, will Lev Parnas and others testify in the trial in the Senate here next week?
That is the big question. Okay, Terry, thanks very much. Let's bring this to Chief White House Correspondent John Karl for more on this right now. So you have this blockbuster interview from Lev Parnas. He's already turned over documents to the House Intelligence Committee, reportedly more documents to come. So this is a real curveball for the White House on the eve of the Senate trial.
It sure is, and we have a response just minutes ago from the White House to this, and the response is not to directly address the allegations made by Parnas, but to attack his credibility. Stephanie Grisham, the White House press secretary, saying, quote, "These allegations are being made by a man who is currently out on bail for federal crimes and is desperate to reduce his exposure to prison." She adds, quote, "The president did nothing wrong." Now, the president in the past, George, has said he may have photographs with Parnas, but he doesn't really know the man. The most explosive allegation, or at least one of the most explosive in that interview, is that the president knew exactly what he was up to in Ukraine and authorized it. The White House will undoubtedly point out that in that interview, Parnas also acknowledged that he did not directly speak to the president about any of this.
No, but he also has that letter from Rudy Giuliani to the president of Ukraine saying that Rudy Giuliani is acting on the president's behalf in his capacity as a private lawyer. So, you know, the big question is going to be, how will the Senate use this new evidence? Will they vote to have any more witnesses? We know from the White House yesterday they're hoping for a far more quick process, even done before the president's scheduled State of the Union on February 4th.
The White House has made it clear that they would like to see a trial go no more than 2 weeks, that they are prepared to fight any effort to bring witnesses in. But, George, the president himself has sent mixed signals on this, at times suggesting that he would be open to witnesses, at times suggesting that he wanted to see other witnesses, such as the Bidens. This is not a certainty here. We know that right now, at the very least, Republicans are saying they want to see the beginning of a trial.
And, John, what more do we know about who's going to be making the president's case in the Senate?
We know of 2 names, at least. The first is Pat Cipollone. He is the White House counsel, and also Jay Sekulow, somebody who is the outside counsel for the president and has spent a lot of time on television defending him on all of this.
Okay, John Carr, I know you'll be joining us for our live coverage of the Senate impeachment trial. That starts at 12 Eastern, right here on ABC. Michael?
George, we're going to turn now to the race for the White House, and those rising tensions between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders captured in new tapes of their post-debate confrontation where they call each other liars. Lindsay Davis is here with the latest. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning to you, boy. People were trying to read lips, read body language, right, for nearly 24 hours. The contentious moment that happened after the debate was replayed and analyzed to try to determine just what was said in that terse exchange. When Senator Sanders' handshake was not reciprocated by Senator Warren, well, now we know what was said, and both senators accuse each other of lying on national TV.
Overnight, CNN releasing post-debate audio between Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders right after the tense moment she refused to shake his outstretched hand.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
What?
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion, we'll have that discussion. You called me, you told me. All right, let's not do it now.
The tense exchange came after the pair traded blows about a 2018 conversation in which Warren claims Sanders said a woman could not win the election, a claim Sanders denied during the debate.
Well, as a matter of fact, I didn't say it. Anybody knows me, knows that it's incomprehensible that I would think that a woman could not be president of the United States.
Warren not backing down.
I think the best way to talk about who can win is by looking at people's winning record. So, can a woman beat Donald Trump? Look at the men on this stage. Collectively, they have lost 10 elections. The only people on this stage who have won every single election that they've been in are the women, Amy and me.
Their argument was seen live on air, but without sound. CNN says they pulled the audio from backup recordings of wireless microphones and released the clip 24 hours later. The onstage confrontation inadvertently broken up by fellow candidate Tom Steyer.
I don't want to get in the middle, but I just want to say hi, Bernie. Yeah, good. Okay.
Sanders' wife, Jane, was subsequently asked about the comments leading up to this tense moment, and she told the Associated Press that sometimes people misremember things. She went on to say that she's not attacking Elizabeth Warren, but she knows that the comment about a woman not being able to win is nothing that her husband would ever say. But Tom Steyer, boy, he said now that he couldn't wait to get out of the way. You can understand why.
Neither one of them in the debate actually really wanted to get into it.
I mean, as a matter of fact, I think he said, I don't want to have the fight with her, right? And she said, Bernie's my friend.
So it's still he said, she said.
That's what it amounts to.
All right, Lindsay, thank you. Now to that major new storm that is moving coast to coast, hitting the west with snow and rain, now barreling east. Airlines already offering waivers. Rob is here tracking the latest. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, Robin. Already this is an impressive storm with winds gusting to 60 miles an hour along the Oregon and Washington coastline, 80 miles an hour inland, and 2 feet of snow in places like Port Angeles, Washington. That is impressive right at sea level. Now this is all shifting down to the south, so California is going to be in it today. We've got winter storm warnings that are posted for much of the Sierras. Actually, just above 3,000 feet near San Francisco, you're going to see some snow on the mountaintops there. And then I-5, as we go down I-5 towards Los Angeles, up and over the top of the Grapevine, 4 to 8 inches of snow potentially right along the interstate. So we could see some travel issues there, and of course rains down at the lower levels. This storm is going to go coast to coast. We get it into the plains tomorrow. It's a mixture of rain, sleet, and snow, accumulating snows from Minneapolis to Chicago. Tomorrow night, that gets into Detroit, Pittsburgh, eventually New York and Boston on Saturday. I-80 looks to be the cutoff here. It's going to be a mess and travel difficulty over the next 2 days. George, over to you.
It does look tough. Okay, Rob, thanks very much. We're going to turn now to the dramatic rescue of an 11-year-old girl kidnapped on her way home from school. Hours later, alert drivers spotted the vehicle and police were able to save her. Will Reeve here with the story. Good morning, Will.
Hey, good morning, George. It's a nightmare scenario. A child abducted, getting off of her school bus, an Amber Alert going out, hoping someone sees something and says something. Luckily, that's exactly what happened, and the little girl was saved.
A family erupting in celebration after receiving the joyous news that 11-year-old Charlotte Messiah had been located hours after she was kidnapped. This surveillance video shows Messiah's usual route home from the bus stop this past Tuesday. Just seconds later, a blue Honda Civic drives into the frame. Police say the very next day, Messiah had just gotten off the bus when a man grabbed her and forced her into the back of a blue Honda Civic.
And I came out and I heard the kid hollering for help. And by the time I got down here to get over to try to get the plate number, all I saw was an individual bent over, throwing her in the back, and he shut the door and the car took off.
Her disappearance triggering a massive Amber Alert and mobilizing police. 6 hours after she was taken, a flurry of 911 calls from the Mass Pike. Law enforcement able to close in on the car where Messiah was sitting in the back seat.
The traffic was down to a crawl, and at that particular time, we conducted a motor vehicle stop of that vehicle.
You want to just grab them right here?
can stop them.
We quickly located Charlotte in the back seat of the vehicle and instantly removed her from the vehicle.
Confirming you have that female. Affirmative.
Her kidnapper, Miguel Rodriguez, taken into custody.
She's an amazing little girl. I couldn't believe how she kept it all together and just speaking with us. It's amazing.
There's still no word yet on what connection, if any, the suspect has to Charlotte or why she was targeted. Those officers said they are eternally grateful to the people who acted on that Amber Alert.
Time is of the essence and something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Glad she's okay.
All right. Thank you, Will. Whit, we are too as well. So, Will, we appreciate that. I said Whit. Will. Because I got Whit coming up right here. Hey, it's early in the morning, people. What can we do? Well, now to the new developments in that World Series cheating scandal. The Boston Red Sox opening up about firing their manager. And now the heat is on the New York Mets and their manager, Carlos Beltran. I'm talking to Whit Johnson.
Oh, Whit. Okay.
Yes, he is at Fenway Park with the latest. Good morning, Whit.
Michael, good morning to you. The Boston Red Sox are asking fans to reserve judgment until the investigation is complete. But the outrage is growing. The dominoes are falling, with many now calling on the New York Mets to take action.
This morning, the sign-stealing scandal sending shockwaves through Major League Baseball.
Astros take the lead.
Now swallowing up more of the sport's biggest stars. Sources telling ESPN the New York Mets are assessing the situation concerning their new manager, Carlos Beltran.
The Houston Astros are world champions.
Beltran was a player on the Astros in 2017 during their World Series win. MLB investigators say Beltran helped orchestrate the scheme, using a camera in the stands to record signals from the opposing team's catcher, then notify their batters what kind of pitch was coming by banging on this garbage can.
In the ear to left. Benintendi's going back, and that's going to be a one-hopper to the wall.
Beltran was hired by the Mets in November, but now his future is in doubt after the firing of Red Sox manager Alex Cora, who was also with the Astros in 2017 and is considered the possible ringleader.
Yesterday was a sad day because we all have such respect for Alex. He admitted that what he did was wrong.
In a separate probe, the Red Sox are also under investigation for potential illegal sign stealing in 2018, raising questions about the legitimacy of the team's World Series victory over the LA Dodgers.
But as we stand here today, do you still believe you beat the Dodgers fair and square?
Absolutely, yes.
Now, there are some key differences between the Red Sox and the Mets. The Mets as a team are not under investigation. And remember, Beltran was implicated as a player for the Astros. Guys?
Okay, a lot to sort through right there. Thank you. Well, we're following a lot of other stories this morning, including a new twist in the case of the missing mother of 5 from Connecticut, a new accusation against her estranged husband.
And Prince Harry making his first public appearance this morning since announcing his royal exit. His message. But first, let's go back to Rob.
Cold air is pouring in, guys, out ahead of this storm system. Look at this, minus 30 in Minneapolis, and this is heading towards the north. It's going to be a windy day ahead of this, too, to 50 miles an hour. But tomorrow morning in Boston's going to feel like 1 below 0. Keep the winter coat handy. Rainy Cities brought to you by Edward Jones.
Every morning, bright and early, 17,000 Edward Jones financial advisors come to work with one goal in mind: to treat their individual investors like individuals, to know what's important to them, to be their champion.
Let's get started.
Edward Jones. It's time for investing to feel individual.
The last mild day for a while. Temperatures today will top out at about 50 to 51 degrees at lunchtime today, but it is going to be windy. In fact, wind advisory out areas I-81, Clark and Warren and Page County, and even here locally we could see gusts around 35 to 40 miles per hour. So there's your noon temperature, 51, mixture of clouds and sunshine for today. Weather alert for Saturday with the weather maker coming through, producing a wintry mix, some sleet, some freezing rain, mainly north and west of D.C. The high Saturday just 37.
Stay with us.
Needles, essential for the sea urchin.
But maybe not for people with rheumatoid arthritis, because there are options, like an injection. Xeljanz XR, a once-daily pill for adults with moderate to severe RA for whom methotrexate did not work well enough. Xeljanz XR can reduce pain, swelling, and further joint damage, even without methotrexate. Xeljanz can lower your ability to fight infections like TB. Don't start Xeljanz if you have an infection. Taking a higher than recommended dose of Xeljanz